Hello, staff and students of the International School of Bellevue. I'm so excited that you've come out tonight to learn a little bit about what you can expect in the Ecuador and Amazon. My name is Tyrell, and I'm a school engagement coordinator at Midwee. Tonight, I'm going to take you on a journey through the Amazon. I'm going to, of course, tell you what you can expect on your trip. I'm going to touch a little bit about Midwee and the history of Free the Children, and I'll talk a little bit about my experience with Midwee. Not only am I a school engagement coordinator, which means I help amazing schools like yours plan their volunteer trips, I'm also a trained facilitator, so I also go with students and facilitate their trips. I was born in Owen Sound, here in Ontario, a small town where I was kind of a unique kid. When I saw different social injustices, I would get really angry. When I saw somebody litter, I would get upset. When I saw evidence of gender inequality or sexism, I'd get this funny feeling in my stomach. When I learned about racism, and when I especially learned about the Ku Klux Klan, I actually broke out in tears. I was so angry. I didn't know what to do with that anger, so naturally, I picked up boxing. And for a while, I thought I might be a professional boxer. That didn't work out, and I ended up at the Goodman School of Business at Brock University, studied finance, and began a career as a financial consultant at Investors Group. I was helping people there, but not necessarily in a way that was rewarding for me. That's when I heard about Midwee. That's when I heard about the incredible work they were doing to support Free the Children, and the amazing work that Free the Children was doing to change the world. I realized that was the kind of change I wanted to be a part of. So I joined the organization, and it has been amazing. I joined an amazing team that is here to support you, deciding whether this journey is right for you, and then when you do decide, we'll help you get there and be prepared when you arrive. When I began my career at Midwee, I really joined a movement. The movement of shifting the world from me to we. It's not just the name of this social enterprise. It is our guiding philosophy, and it guides every decision we make. Your school is living the movement as well. The movement of me to we. Me to We is a social enterprise, and Free the Children is a charity. Me to We was designed to support the work of Free the Children. So not only do we send volunteers to Free the Children communities around the world, we also donate half of our net profits annually to those Free the Children development projects. You may have heard the story before, but I get so inspired every time I tell it. This is Iqbal. He was born in 1983 in a small town in Pakistan. This is Iqbal. When Iqbal was 4, he was sold to the carpet mafia to pay off a debt of $16. He'd work tirelessly for hours on end, tying thousands and thousands of knots. This is Craig. He was born in 1982 in Thornhill, Ontario. When he was 4, he used to love riding his tricycle up and down the driveway. This is Iqbal. When Iqbal was 10, he broke free of child slavery and traveled the world speaking out against the carpet mafia. This is Craig. When Craig was 10, he was learning his times tables, playing soccer, he was hanging out with friends after school. When Iqbal was 12, and when Craig was 12, he read this article. The article that changed his life. The article that inspired him to go to school, challenge his classmates, gather a group of 12-year-olds that eventually started Free the Children. The article that started him on a path, that started him on a journey. A journey that eventually took him to Bangladesh, took him to India, it took him to Pakistan to see Iqbal's grave. A journey that inspired him to take that group of 12-year-olds, take Free the Children, and grow it into an international charity. Craig's journey was the inspiration for Midwee trips. So on a Midwee trip, you're going to get to go volunteer in a developing community, change that community's future. You're going to get to immerse yourself in this beautiful new culture and develop yourself as a leader. In 2014 alone, 104 projects were completed, and volunteers were crucial in the completion of those projects. So schools were built, teachers' accommodations were built, hospitals were built. So many amazing projects that would not have been completed without volunteers like you. Not only did the communities benefit from students traveling, but they also did as well. We find that students that go on a Midwee trip
come back more confident to stand up against issues that they're passionate about. So they don't have to pick up boxing gloves. They can find solutions to those problems. They also value their education way more. Not only do they value it more, but they can use this experience on university applications. And even going beyond university, employers love to see a Me to We experience on a resume because it means you have so many of those 21st century skills that are hard to develop in the classroom, like problem solving, teamwork, leadership, some critical skills that you'll develop on a Me to We trip.
That leads me to a question. That's what's your legacy? Not something I expect you to answer right now, but it's a question I ask every young person going on a Me to We trip. What change do you want to be a part of? What impact do you want to have on this world? Take this question with you on your journey, and the answer might reveal itself in a very unique way. Now, let's take a look at your trip to Ecuador. Free the Children has been working in Ecuador since 1999. We started working in the Chimborazo province up in the Andes Mountains with the Quechua people. We worked with them for several reasons, mainly because they don't have access to the things that we take for such granted here in Canada. There was a system called the hacienda system that was prevalent throughout Ecuador. The Spanish, when they colonized the country, they pushed the indigenous people up into the mountains and out into the Amazon rainforest, where, again, they didn't have access to things like school, good schoolrooms, to clean water. And that's why we were working with these people, to help them get access to those things, to help them get a better education, to help them break that cycle of poverty, to help them better their lives. Your first day, you'll fly into Quito, where you'll be met by your Me to We facilitators. These people will be with you throughout your entire journey. You'll also be met by your jungle guide and driver. Your Me to We facilitators are more than tour guides. These are the people that are there to help you make meaning of your trip. So these are the people you want to go to with the tough questions. If you see something you don't understand, you're confused, you don't know why this is happening, go to them. If they don't have the answer, they'll be able to help you find it. They're also the people that you go to if you're not feeling well, or if you're just you're not feeling comfortable. They'll help you make not only meaning of your trip, but help you feel comfortable in your surroundings. As I said, your first day will be spent in Quito. This is really to give you a chance to acclimatize to this new country that you're in. It also gives you a chance to learn about the history of Ecuador, learn about some of the issues that are prevalent throughout the country. You'll get to explore Quito and Old Town, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A beautiful place, some amazing architecture. This is just a great time to get used to the country, learn about it before you make your trip out to the Amazon. No trip to Ecuador would be complete without a visit to the equator. So you'll get to visit the equator before you head to the Amazon. You'll get to stand right on latitude 00000. You'll get to straddle both the northern and the southern hemisphere. You'll get to do some cool science experiments, like you can't actually balance on the equator. Just a great time to, again, learn a little bit more about Ecuador and continue to get used to where you are. After spending time in Quito, this is when you're going to travel out to the Amazon rainforest. We've been working in the Amazon for 4 years now with 4 different communities with the same Quechua people that we work with up in the Andes Mountains. They heard about the amazing work that was being done there, and they asked us if we could come help them develop their communities and help them break the cycle of poverty. So as I said, we were in 4 communities, and we just seen incredible work and incredible partnerships blossom over those 4 years we've been working with these people. It's a beautiful culture that you're just going to be immersed in, and the Amazon rainforest is equally as beautiful.
They say that life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. My Me to We trip to Ecuador proved that to be true. Oh, this is hard work. What do you expect me to do with that?
You have to eat it.
Eat it. I saw and experienced things that I would have never found at home, and therefore learned life lessons that I'll keep with me forever. Yeah, muy bien. We always think that we have time, but the time for adventure, the time for change, and the time to live your life is now.
Now that you've had a little sneak peek of what Ecuador looks like, pack your bags, let's go see where you're going to stay while you're in the Amazon. On your journey to the Amazon, you are going to take a bus ride through the mountains. It's a beautiful drive, definitely a place to bring your camera, and eventually you'll come to the end of the road and you'll see a long motorized canoe. That is how you'll be getting to your accommodations. So you'll unpack from the bus, everybody will load their bags into the boat, you'll all get in, and you'll be skimming down the Napo River for about 15, maybe 20 minutes until you see this little staircase tuck out of the rainforest. It'll slowly get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you're right beside it and you'll be looking up at the Mingle Lodge. This is your home away from home. This is where you're going to reflect on your trip. This is where you're going to have most of your meals, and this is just a great place to relax and just be surrounded by the rainforest. Some more pictures of your accommodations. So this is where you'll be having your meals, have a little time for relaxing in the hammock. All the bedrooms are gender divided, so of course they come with your sheets and pillows, everything that you'd expect in a Western style hotel. Fresh towels, every room has its bathroom, and each cabin will have anywhere between 4 to 8 people in them. Now for the best part. You'll always remember your first time that you enter the community that you'll be volunteering in. You'll always remember the kids that run up to you, say, buenos dias, buenos noches, depending on when you arrive, or hola, the kids just running up, smiling, the families welcoming you, so happy to see more volunteers coming to help them develop their communities. It'll be something that you carry with you for the rest of your life, and it might be something that is a little bit shocking if you've never seen poverty like this, or if you never have had this experience on an international development trip. So just be prepared for some of the things that you'll be seeing, and be prepared for an amazing greeting from some incredible community members. We're working with these community members to help them break the cycle of poverty, and a big factor in that is education. Schoolrooms in the Amazon are typically poorly built and are not very conducive to learning. A lot of them have tin roofs, and it is called the rainforest for a reason. It rains a lot, so when it rains, the tin roofs are very loud and learning just becomes very difficult. So we're working with these community members to build schools that are more conducive to learning, so that kids want to go to school, so that they can learn and that they can develop themselves, so that they can go out and help their families break the cycle of poverty and create a better life for themselves and for generations to come. This is an example of a schoolroom that was built entirely by volunteers and community members in partnership. So as you can see, it is a beautiful structure. It's a source of pride for the community members, and you'll see the roof is still tin, but now we have thermoacoustic roofs, so when that rains, it's silent. They have beautiful windows, it's breezy, so in those hot Amazonian days, the classroom's not too hot, and it's so much more conducive to learning. And now school kids love coming here to learn, and they're learning way more than they had in the past. Education isn't the only issue in the Amazon. If kids are sick, they're not going to go to school. If they don't have clean water to drink, they're not going to go to school. If they don't have food, if they do go to school, it'll be hard for them to pay attention because they're just thinking about where their next meal is going to come from. If their family needs them to stay home and work on the farm or help with housework, they're not going to go to school. So your volunteer work could be helping any one of our 5 pillars. It could be building a school. It could be building a teacher's accommodations. It could be working on a clean water project. It could be working on a health clinic that we are building in Mondania so that 16 communities now have a hospital that they can go to, whether it's birthing a child or they're sick or a broken limb. They now have good doctors so that they can be ready and healthy to go to school. So your project, it could be digging ditches, it could be mixing cement, it could be sanding, it could be anything that is the community needs you to do at the time. That's basically what you'll be working on. So it'll be labor heavy, labor intensive, but you'll just feel so rewarded and so great after all the amazing work you've done and seeing these projects get completed. When I was in the Amazon over the summer, we were working on a clean water project. So we were installing a clean water system in a community that currently drinks mostly polluted water. So a lot of the community members are sick with parasites and diarrhea, which keeps them out of school. We're now installing this clean water project that these houses in this community have never had running water before. Now they're going to have clean water directly to their house so that they have good, clean drinking water, so that they're not dehydrated, so they're not getting sick. And it's just an inspiring and amazing thing to see these projects get completed. So you'll be a part of something amazing, and you'll literally be changing people's lives. One of the highlights when I ask people when they come back from their Midway trip, when I came back from my own trip, it's always making new friends. It's making that connection with the local boy or the local girl, playing soccer with these kids, making a connection on the soccer pitch, making a connection on the build site. Maybe it's a classmate that you were not friends with before the trip, and you've become such amazing friends and created an amazing bond. Making new friends is one of the highlights on these amazing journeys. For me, it was Kevin. Kevin was our jungle guide. He had grown up in the Yasuni National Forest and had a very difficult life. At a very young age, he was displaced from his home because his family needed to sell their land to the oil companies for a very small sum of money because they were in dire needs of food. So they lost their home, and he actually was able to pick himself up out of poverty, get a good education, study English, become a jungle guide, which is very difficult to do. And he had such an amazing story, an amazing time with us, amazing time just sharing his experience growing up in the rainforest. So you'll have your own jungle guide on this trip, and this could be your highlight from the trip, but I know I'll never forget Kevin, and you'll likely never forget your jungle guide. You're going to be immersed in this beautiful Quechua culture. We've been working with the Quechua people for many years, and we've learned how amazing and how strong a community these people have. They have a word called minga in Ecuador and in the Quechua language. Minga roughly translates to Midway. Ecuador holds a big spot in Free the Children in Midway's heart, and that's because it was really the birthplace of Midway. Minga means when the community members put down what they're doing for personal gain and come together as a community to lift the community up. So community members will come and work on a clean water project. They're not getting paid for it. They're just doing it because they know the community will be better for it. They could come together and work on this school building project because no, they're not getting paid, but they know if they have a school in that community, kids are going to get an education and the kids are going to have a better life. That means the community is going to be stronger in the future. You'll get to participate in the Minga, whatever project you're working on. Be sure that there'll be community members, there'll be kids, there'll be lots of people out there helping you. It's just amazing, this word Minga. It doesn't really translate to English, but it gives you an idea of what the Quechua culture is like. Your jungle guide is going to take you on a night and day hike in the Amazon rainforest. So he's going to show you bugs. He's going to show you plants and trees and birds. Your jungle guide is incredible. He knows the name of every single thing in the rainforest. So if you point to something, he'll be able to name it. I dare you to try and stump him. Try, but I'm sure that you won't. You'll get to also explore some of the traditions of the Amazon. You'll get to meet a local women's group that makes artisan projects. So they make bags literally out of leaves. And they're amazing bags that look like they've been crafted with sewing machines and all kinds of intricate details. But really, it's these women turning a leaf into a bag or these beads into an amazing necklace. There's some amazing things that they're doing and some amazing stories that will come from this women's group that you meet, and you'll actually get to try your own hand at some of the traditions of the Amazon. You'll also get to use some tools of the Amazon. So you'll visit a shaman and learn some of the tools that he's used to protect his family, protect his land. And so in this picture you see a young man getting ready to use a blow dart. shooting at old fruit, of course, but it's very difficult. I wasn't able to hit the fruit, but I had an 11-year-old on my trip over the summer that hit it 3 times in a row. So it's a pretty fun competition and a great way to just learn a little bit about the Amazon in a fun and active way. Ecuador is known to have the best cacao in the entire world. Cacao, cocoa, chocolate. So you'll get to go to a local cooking class, and where you'll pick some cacao from the local farm. You'll buy it from him, and you'll make your own chocolate. So good. You will love this chocolate. You also saw in the video some tasty little squirming bugs. You'll get to try those, either live or cooked, however you prefer them. I prefer them cooked. Some people think that they taste like bacon cooked, but who knows? Hey, if you want to try it raw, be my guest. Throughout the entire trip, you're going to be learning about social issues of Ecuador, social issues of the world. You're going to learn about world issues, and you're going to have a chance to explore them in depth and talk about them as a group. You're going to get to talk about them with your jungle guide. You're going to go through different leadership and social issues modules every day of your trip. Typically in the evening, this is where you're going to develop yourself. You're going to learn about yourself, develop those leadership skills and all those skills I was talking about before. A great place to sort of begin thinking about the world in a new way and begin thinking in a new and complex, interesting way. And a great place to learn from your peers and to step up as a leader. I wouldn't do this trip justice if I didn't touch on safety. So parents, we completely respect and value the responsibility that you've given us when you send your child on a me-to-we trip. And that's why in over 12 years of running trips, we haven't had one major safety or security incidents. And that's because of the proactive approach we take to safety. From having a full risk management team dedicated to your child's safety, to having highly trained facilitators with a 24/7 risk management phone, to having really close relationships to all the clinics that we work with in the community. So in Mondaña, when you're traveling in the Amazon, we have a clinic that is a 7-minute walk away. So if there is anything that happens in the Amazon, we have a clinic to take care of you. To having your child registered with the respective embassy in the country, to having a full in-country team dedicated to the safety of your student or child. We're really proud of our safety standards, and if there's any questions in regards to safety, feel free to ask them. I would love to be able to answer them and make you feel more comfortable sending your child on a me-to-we trip. I should also mention that on the build site, before anyone begins doing any work, we have a 1-hour mandatory safety training that is led by our facilitators and our architect and engineer in the country, or maestro as it's called in Ecuador. So every student goes through this safety training, and then for whatever tasks they're done, they're trained on that as well. We provide all the safety equipment you need: goggles, gloves, hard hats, steel-toe boots, so you don't have to worry about bringing any of your own materials. And if you never built a school before, if you've never installed a clean water project before, don't worry. We have trained professionals there to make sure that you're doing it correctly, one, and so that it's going to stand for a long time, and so that you're safe while you're doing it. That brings me back to a question. The question I asked initially: what's your legacy? On a me-to-we trip, answers tend to reveal themselves in very unique ways. So it's a great place to bring questions like, what do I want to do after high school? What motivates me? What inspires me? What change do I want to have in this world? What impact do I want to have on the people around me? Bring these questions with you. What do I want to study in university? It's an amazing question, and it sometimes is revealed, and you're just like, oh wow, this trip, I want to do that after this. It's an incredible place to bring questions. So I invite you to bring any question you have, something you're confused about, who you are as a person. Just bring those questions and look out for the answers. This is Yolanda. Yolanda is a wild parrot that hangs around the lodge that you'll be staying in. She speaks Spanish, of course, so brush up on your Spanish if you want to talk to Yolanda. She also loves eggs, which is kind of interesting, and then she likes toast with jam on it. So you'll definitely see her hanging around the lodge while you're there. But in order to get to Ecuador, in order to get to the Amazon, what are the next steps? before we get to that, just some more of the logistical details of the trip. It happens from March 26th to April 2nd. That's an 8-day trip, and the cost ranges from $3,230 to $2,940. If we get to 20 students, the cost is decreased a little bit because it's spread over more students. So let's shoot for that, so that the cost comes down for everybody. And that trip cost includes pretty well everything. Your round-trip airfare, your accommodations, meals, snacks, purified bottled water, all transportation while in country, your facilitators, your jungle guide, your in-country team, all activities. Pretty well everything's covered except for travel medical insurance, visas, vaccinations, and spending money. Vaccinations, when I went to Ecuador in July, there weren't any, but of course we recommend seeing a travel doctor because we're not experts on that area. Visas for American or Canadian passport holders, there are not any visas. If there are any other nationality or different passport holders, just let us know and we'll help you with the visa process. And then spending money. That is only for gifts that you might want to bring home for your families or souvenirs. So other than that, everything is included in the trip cost. Some important deadlines. $500 deposit is due by October 30th to reserve your spot on the trip. Trip registration forms will be due 3 weeks after that, so that's just all the forms you have to fill out and submitting your passport copies so that we can book you flights. And then final payment won't happen until December 18th. There is my contact information. I'll put this back up at the end just in case some of the questions don't get answered, or if you have something that comes up after, you can always feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to play one more video and then we'll open it up to questions.
Through these volunteer experiences, it's not just a one-time interaction with the community, but Free the Children has worked now for 20 years, and through a development model that is built around community empowerment with 5 pillars: education, clean water, healthcare, food security, and small job creation. A model that's designed to ensure that communities never need charity again. So while long after your trips come to a close, the local development workers keep empowering the mothers who keep running the projects, they keep working with the men and the children to ensure those walls of the schools are finished, to ensure the health projects are provided, to ensure that that community continues the transformation. And we hope that you too will continue to share stories of what you experienced, continue to share the lessons of international development, to talk about how it is possible to end poverty in our lifetime through smart development policies. I want to say thank you for being an advocate for these communities, and I hope that the stories will stay in your heart, maybe influence what you choose to study later on in life, maybe even bring you back to one of the communities so that years later you can see the transformation that you helped to be part of. And I hope that other friends from your school, other students will continue to join us, other teachers, to keep that link alive to that community and to share the stories in the years that follow. Thank you for being part of the Free the Children and the Midewi family. Thank you for choosing to make a difference. And thank you for giving back in a smart, impactful development model that's designed to ensure that the legacy of your trip continues for generations ahead.